Hey everyone, this is Any Which Wargame, and I'm Boz. And I'm joined today by an old mate of mine, Dan, Nexus Wargaming. How you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Yeah. Um, good to get always good to do these little interviews. I do a lot of interviews myself, so good to talk about wargaming. That's all I really care about, is just talking about wargaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm sure pretty much everyone who's listening to this is also on Nexus Wargaming. And if you're not, and you like talking about wargaming and hearing about it, then yeah, definitely go and check it out. But again, I'm pretty sure our audience is fairly well crossed over.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
True.
So, I wanted to talk to you today about your upcoming online tournament. What can you tell me about it? I know you've already done a video on it, but kind of give me a kind of rundown.
Yeah, I'll give some better context. So for me, I've been wanting to do an online tournament. I was sort of inspired with One Page More when he got to a certain number of subscribers. He had like a tournament that he celebrated, and I really loved that format. I would of course love to do an in-person tournament, but there's also a lot of opportunities with online tournaments that you get a chance to, and I've played other online tournaments, so you get a chance to play people that you would never play. You get army lists, you get play styles, you get it's really a great opportunity for you as a player to play and to test yourself in ways that like you really would never be able to. Another thing for me that I'm really excited is that we're getting some pretty good responses, and we're getting people from Guatemala, like South America and Canada and United States. So like literally the entire continent, or I guess two continents, but also Europe, and so we're getting people just that are just spanning the globe already. And I love that. I love the idea of just meeting people. I remember when I last year I flew to England and I met you and I met Andy, and I met Ed and just so many people that I met. And
Yeah, and it was quite different and special doing it in real life together, wasn't it?
yeah, it's awesome. So, but I love that I've actually heard from some of my users who've told me they don't have a local OPR group.
Hmm.
um, and that these people will get a chance to play and just meet people. And I think it's so great. Obviously, I would love it if we had a way to teleport people and play in person. Obviously, playing in person is preferred, but there is some advantages to playing online. You get a chance to play people that you would never play.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and as somebody who's living in a town at the moment where there is no scene other than 40K that I'm not at all into, I've been playing against myself for almost 12 months now. So yeah, the idea of getting a bunch of people together in an online space and being able to play the game is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not, I'll always, want to do, there's nothing that's going to replace in person, and I'll
Oh
always do it.
no.
But online play gives you an opportunity to play, like I said, play people that you would never get a chance to. And, like a lot of people, I think sometimes misunderstand me. They think that like I'm all a super competitive about win at all costs. But what I'm really about, for me, a big thing about wargaming is about skill. It's about, um, yes, it's dice, yes, it's this, but I believe wargaming and being better at wargaming is a skill that you develop,
Hmm.
and that is a big draw to me on wargaming. Yes, I know it's dice, yes, I know it's not chess, and there's that fun aspect, but you can get better at wargaming, and that's a big thing the real goal that people, when I talk about the competitive nature of OPR, what it's really about is providing a way for a person to not just enjoy, but also get better at a game. You know what I mean? You don't want to
Yeah, yeah,
just,
for sure.
yeah, you don't want to just turn up with tons of models and just flip a coin. You want to have that, you want to have a game that has a skill cap that you can feel you're getting better.
And I think as well, it's satisfying to get to know your chosen army, your chosen force, your chosen faction, whatever. You tend to collect for one faction at least at a time, and you tend to tweak and tweak and tweak and learn your list better and learn its nuances better and learn its strengths and how to counteract its weaknesses better. And there's a real satisfaction in that. Even if you're not super duper competitive, it's still good to know that you're doing the best that you can and improving your skill.
Yeah, I think that that is one of those things that is lost on a big thing that I try to push on my channel is that, hey, I love painting. I think the hobbying is great. There's a certain therapeutic nature to painting,
Yeah.
to putting on a podcast, but there is also having a game. This is why I'm not a proponent of just, oh, the game doesn't matter. No, the game matters. You know, you,
Yeah.
you,
The
you,
hobby fits around the game.
yeah, well, and some people love the hobby more, but I always am a person that says that no, just having a game where it really doesn't matter and you're just goofing off. And that,
Hmm.
like, I'm nothing wrong with that, but it's also the other part of it is having a game that you feel you can get better, that you feel you have some control, even if it's dice. And I understand this isn't chess, but no, that's the other draw to this, right? Is that you're able to play with an opponent. And whether you win or lose, you can take away that game and say, oh, I could do this better and I could do this better. Or if you win, you're like, man, I feel so good. I did such a great job. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What do you think of Tabletop Simulator, the platform you're using for the tournament? Like, what do you think of that as a platform to play one-page rules on?
it's not the best. It is quirky.
Hmm.
It's not very user friendly, but it's ubiquitous. And it's something that, like I said, it's not too bad if you can just um, go through the tutorials and learn it. Um, Obviously, we would love something better, but I think it's the best tool that we have. So, I think it's fine in that sense, right? In that
It is
it's good enough.
playable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we're wargamers. We're used to sort of getting into the weeds. So for us, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, it's good enough until we invent teleporting technology where we can
Yeah.
get into our little teleport gates and I can go across the world.
Yeah. And make it free, if you please.
Yes.
Yeah, I notice when I was going through all of the information that you're quite clear on I want the players in this tournament to already know how to use the system. I don't want them to be learning Tabletop Simulator as we go along. And I think that's actually a really good thing to point out because there is a curve.
It's a curve, but it's not too like Tabletop Simulator is clunky. I think the for me the biggest issue with Tabletop Simulator is the processing power on
Hmm.
your computer.
Yep.
I think that if you play computer games, you're going to be okay. But you're right, it's not you that is sort of the curve where it's not great and Tabletop Simulator can be clunky. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I would say this, the curve on learning tabletop simulator is nothing compared to the curve of building and painting an army. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, sort of let's make sure we sort of put this in a
Yeah.
bit of perspective.
Yeah. And you can run Tabletop Simulator on most machines, but there's a vast difference between running it and actually being able to enjoy running it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of those things that I understand that like I mean I would prefer an in-person tournament, but
Yeah.
I think I said I think there are some advantages. With tabletops, you'll play people that you'll never be able to play in all your life.
Hmm.
And that to be exposed to different play styles, to be exposed to different metas, that's really cool. You
It
know what I
is.
mean?
It is. And
To
I
play
think,
armies that you would play against people that would you would never get a chance to and to go into games where you definitely know that's not stale, right? This isn't the army that you faced 5 or 10 times. You are
yeah,
facing a brand new player, a brand new army, and you have got to think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's that army that you have faced 5 or 10 times, it won't be the same list and it won't be the same mindset of the player controlling that army going into it. You're in for a whole new experience.
Well, and the other thing I did is I did put in, so the tournament has, that's the first part of it. The other part of the tournament is also that I do have my custom redesigns. I spent most of 2024 working on these things, and I
Yeah.
continue to tweak these armies. I did I did want to provide sort of a way, because here's the thing. OPR is relatively balanced, but the balance issue is starting to skew towards a few armies, like alien hives, robot legions.
Yep.
And I'm worrying that the meta in tournaments is going to become stale. So providing some more balanced armies and some of the maybe lower tier armies, in my opinion, I think it's going to provide variety, right? You're not going to be facing the second or third Robot Legions list or the second or third Alien Hives list.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You're going to be now facing armies that are on a relative, like for me, I would say a relatively more equal footing. And I say that with the idea that part of this tournament is for me to get feedback and to continue to tweak my lists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to chat to you about your competitive lists because, as you say, you've been really hard at it for the last year. You've brought out, I don't know, what are you up to, like 10 or 15 or something like that?
It's well, I'd have to look, man. You're catching me off guard. I'd have to like find it. But it's
Let's,
not just me.
yeah,
Another thing, it's about it's three or four, but I've done most of them. But we've had several of the people on my Discord who've worked on their own versions
yeah,
that
cool.
I feel I mean, I feel are solid. So I've included them. Actually gonna go and right here in Meteor Rest find there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13. There's like almost 20 something.
Yeah, it's a nice
I
chunky list.
Yeah. I did put in the revised orc list. I know there's been a lot of um the orc changes were rough. So I did put in I call it a
Yep,
pre-nerfed orc list.
yep. Which is
Yeah.
going to make a lot of people happy.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
So, about these competitive redesigns, when you sit down to do one, what's your process? Like, what are you addressing specifically, and what are you kind of aiming for as your outcome? Like, tell us a bit about the process.
Yeah, I mean, so I did I mean, I'll shamelessly plug my own video. I did
Please
do,
do.
yeah, I did actually do a video specifically about doing a custom redesign. So, I want to be very clear. I'm not a game designer. I feel I'm doing best I can, you know? Um, I always look at my redesigns as a starting point, as um, one of the big things that I always say is I think the best thing that OPR has is its custom army creator. I think that's
Yes.
its differentiator from a lot of games that you really can make armies. And I've actually seen not just in my local group, but across the world, they are starting to gain traction, custom armies, where people are like, hey, I want to, I think these armies could be tweaked. Um, so what are my goals? One of it is that these armies should be on a relatively similar power level. I'll say something that can be debated, but I feel strongly that there is a power problem in OPR. Certain armies are not just better, but are also given a lot more attention than others. And I feel that the armies, so part of it when I started building these is some of these armies I feel need to be on a more equal footing. They need to be fleshed out. I'm a person who comes from the 40K lore. So I do want to, when I design these armies, I always went to the 10th edition and 9th edition codexes,
Yep.
and I saw what are these units, what are they doing? And I tried to add something similar. Not 40K-ish crazy stuff, but just, hey, okay, this unit has this special thing. Let me add a simplified version for OPR. So it has that
Yeah.
similar feel. Um, the other thing is that I feel the army has to be not just playable, but also fun. a big thing that I try to do with my custom redesigns is I want the army to win, but I want it to win honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want it to win through shenanigans. And I
Yeah.
hate to say it, some of the official lists have shenanigans.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you've already mentioned it. Robot legions and alien hives. There's definite cheese in there.
Yeah, and so when I try to build my list, I want them to be unique and have their own play style, but I don't want them to win sort of like in a really annoying way.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I always say is that my custom lists are betas. I A lot of my lists, I have made tweaks. I continue to make tweaks on them. So like I make dozens of tweaks on these lists. I change things. I'll play every time I play a game with my lists, I'll tweak things. I'll be like, okay, this is too strong, too short, this kind of thing. This is too complicated. I've been going through and actually simplifying some of my lists, right? Because I feel they were too complicated. So now I'm trying to simplify them. And if I would suggest anyone who wants to be into design custom lists, I would say make sure you play them, right? You can't just design a list in your head. You have to play it and you have to tweak it.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
often do you get to play your lists?
I mean, when I play, I've noticed I play my Craft World High Elf list, my own custom. I pretty much play that now.
Yeah.
I don't like the High Elf fleets list. I can win with it. I mean, to me, it's not necessarily a power level thing. You know, I took second at our, tournament with it. And I continue to, to me, it's not a fun list because everything has rending.
Hmm.
And I've played people with that list who, after the game, they looked at me and they said, why did I even bother to pay 300 points with regen? Because everything you have has rending. And
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it. One of the main things I changed about that list is not spamming rending. Um, you don't want your opponent to come into there and realize they've wasted 300 points in regen upgrades. Like, that's not fun.
No.
I do, like I said, I also just making some units I feel fit their 40K equivalent better.
Hmm.
I wasn't a fan of the High Elf redesign. I think the redesigns have been real hit and miss. Some of them, like Human Defense Force, have been good, but then you have High Elf Fleets wasn't great. Dwarf Gales was not great. Orcs have been pretty much a disaster, I think. And I hate to say that, I like OPR, but that's just been a disaster right there
Yeah,
with orcs.
I think that's a fair thing to say, regardless of how you feel about them. On that topic, when can I look forward to your competitive redesign of the Goblin, the
Oh.
Goblin Reclaimers?
I mean, the sad thing is that, and I don't control, to be clear, I don't have any control in OPR about what decisions happen. I wouldn't have done that. For me, it's a tough thing because I think other than some minor tweaks, orcs were just in a really good spot. I think that they were one of the best armies. Um,
They were
I
fun as
didn't
well.
They were fun, a lot
Yeah.
of great play style. The army was good. Um, it was very good. I mean, I think that if I possibly would have had some minor nerfs if it were me, but I wouldn't even think about that. Like, it's a solid army. I don't, it's one of those things that it's always tough to see that change go in because I feel this is one of their best armies that I feel they really put both armies in a really weird spot. So. Yeah, I mean, it's I think if you want to catch a pretty step-by-step view on that, I think that Chainsword now it's you have to translate it in French. They did a great job on explaining the problems with the orc splitting. So, you can go check out Chainsword, just turn on the auto translate. Yeah, I mean they did a much better. I mean, but everything Chainsword said I agree with, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see kind of how that plays out
That's a tough one
over time.
because
Yeah.
it's an army that was in a really good spot. It's fine. But hey, that's why we have someone immediately created a custom army that says, nope, we're gonna play orcs like they used to be. And that's a
Exactly.
wonderful thing.
And as you said, that's the real strength. That's why you pay that, you know, tier one Patreon to have access to that tool. It's so just awesome and powerful and yeah. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of it. So, jokes about Goblin. Reclaimers aside, are you working on another one at the moment? Is there another list coming out before this tournament or just after it?
Oh, no. You know, I feel I won't be I don't plan on coming out with any new lists. I want to refine my existing ones.
Yeah.
I think especially with I'm waiting until September. There
Yes,
is
for that
I
new
know that's
rules
been
drop.
announced.
Yeah.
There is the September changes and I don't know. I'm worried. I would say, I mean, when we got the orc changes, that's worrying to me. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
in September.
I ha
Um, but
I had a commenter on my previous video kind of bring that up and I said, you know what, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm gonna withhold judgment and opinion until they actually drop it
yeah, I
and
think that's better to do,
yeah.
and that's fair.
Yeah.
Let's give it a chance. And I, yeah, but the good thing is that there is custom redesign, and that's a big reason that I'm a big proponent that I think in the competitive scene, I don't like we we have this ability that no other game has that we can do our own balance. All these other game systems, the community is having to like I don't know, like make scenarios or do all this patchwork to make the game balanced. And
Yeah.
here they've just given us this tool to balance a game. It's not like I said, and for me, I think casual players play your own armies. But, you know, I mean, yeah, for the competitive and for the people who want that, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd say too, as a mainly casual player, like even the casual players, we're still looking at refining things and kind of tweaking them and making them better and making them more kind of streamlined to our particular play style. And
I
it's great that we're able to do that.
yeah, I think that no one I don't believe that the competitive and casual players are very much different.
No, I don't think so.
I think I would say this. I don't know of any player in any game who has ever played a bottom tier army and stuck with that army for years and years and years and just continued to get stomped. Eventually, they just switch because you know what? It's okay to admit that now you I would say this. You have a very few people who love the hobby and who don't really care. And those people unfortunately are YouTubers, but you know, we have to separate that, right? That they're a YouTuber who just doesn't care about winning and losing and cares about the hobby, really doesn't care. But most people are balanced. There's like most gamers are part competitive, part casual hobbyists, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's, you know, that's a good thing.
It is, I don't mind losing. I love to win, but yeah, if I was getting curb stomped every time I took the fields, something would have to change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that I've been in wargaming a long time, you too, boss, and I
Yeah.
think that would you agree with this that the people who are oftentimes saying, "Oh, the game is balanced, don't change things." I've seen a lot of those same people when I look at their armies, they tend to be playing the topper tier armies, and they
Yeah.
are happy, right? You
Yeah, of
know,
course. Like
they're happy, you know, but
the game's fine. I keep winning. This is great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to play a game that everybody can have fun and enjoy and not feel like it was a waste of time turning up to the table before it's even begun.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm still tossing up which list I'm going to enter into your tournament.
Oh, you're joining. Oh, wow, that's
Oh yeah,
cool. Oh
definitely.
man. This
Time
is surprising me. Dude, that's awesome. That's
t
awesome.
time differences be damned.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And you know, I would say this, like I'm seeing we're getting I think we're 14 people. I've just saw it this morning. We're 14. And I'm expecting around the 16 to 24, which is perfect.
Yeah,
That's basically what I was expecting. And I think from what I'm seeing in the thing, you're going to get a chance to play people across the world.
yeah.
So that's really awesome. That's really awesome.
Yep, now it's just as I said, the hard choice of what do I bring.
Yeah,
So
man.
That'll be fun.
But that's also a good choice. Like you're
Yeah.
not stuck to bringing, oh, I need to bring X list because that's the meta list.
Yeah.
Actually, this tournament, I think it's going to be cool because there are so many options that, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I feel I was very mild on the custom changes. The only thing I did is no surprise attack or tunneler.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
That
the only
was,
thing I changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
good choice. Solid choice. Well, on that note, it's been a real hoot having you on, and yeah, it's always good to catch up and chat, Dan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I am looking for, and this is a surprise on me. I'm looking forward to having you in the tournament, and
Uh,
there is going to be, so the week before, I am going to be doing basically covering all the army lists. I want all the players to sort of see all the armies and have me basically cover them
mhm.
so that I feel it's a little more fair. So I'll be covering all the army lists.
That's great. So
So yeah,
everyone's going into it kind of having an idea of what everyone else is running.
exactly,
Yeah, I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Well, you can see Dan over at Nexus Wargaming. He does all sorts of awesome videos on wargaming over there. So, again, I'm pretty sure we've got a fairly kind of crossed audience, but just in case you haven't, go and check out Nexus Wargaming. Dan, it's been really cool having you on, and yeah, come back soon. We'll
I
chat about
will. I will. And
we'll
I'm going to
chat
have
about
you
some
come
more
on
stuff.
too. I want to
Yeah,
have you come on too.
absolutely.
Thank you for having me come on.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, I'm Boz with Any Which War Game, and yeah, like and subscribe, and comment. Are you going to enter the tournament? What's your favorite list at the moment? What do you think of these competitive redesigns? And yeah, until next time, let's roll some dice.